Welcome everybody to Switch to Linux. So we are doing just a little bit of review in the news. This is Tom and I have CJ with me here. Hopefully I can hold CJ for a couple of articles here because I'd like him in here for the conclusion of the first or the second article. And so I'm going to be monitoring the comments over here. I'm doing a slightly different video setup. I'm going to put the comments on the screen when the browser is up, and I'm just going to look for my quick stream health real quick. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a look at a few different topics. One of the topics we're going to cover here today is some corporate misbehavior I've found in the news, and then we're going to have another look at some privacy stuff. And then, of course, we have to talk about the latest in the hacks. It's like anymore, we just have to decide which hacks are we going to see? What are we going to do, And so what we're going to do, I'm going to switch over here in just a second. Go ahead and do that. Just initiate the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and transition over. And first, we're going to start out with Uber. Kitty has to stay here for at least the first article. All right. So the first thing we're going to have a look at here is Uber. So I found this article originally on either Consumerist or Ars, I forget which one. But of course, Uber has developed a little sub-app that they'd put certain people on this list. And if you were on that list and you tried to use the app, they'd go into this thing called Grayball. And Grayball would actually allow Uber to kind of spoof where drivers are. And it would basically mean that they would not get a cab. So they put regulators and other people on this list. They basically call it the VTOS, the Violators of Terms and Service. But somehow all the law enforcement that were involved, I gotta keep this kitty here for a little bit. Somehow the law enforcement, kitty really wants to go. Sorry, kitty. Okay. Law enforcement ended up on this list as well, as did city regulators and anybody trying to prove that Uber was being deceptive. And they, of course, came out later on and said that, oh, we're not going to do this anymore. The idea was to prevent them from getting caught selling ads selling rides in cities where they were not really allowed. So this taken with all of the other things about Uber in the news, I mean, the amount of people raped through Uber, the amount of just corporate misbehavior in that company, fighting with California, continuing to offer services when the government said stop doing that or you have to register, just all of the various things that they have done. It's just kind of crazy. So if you're using Uber, I mean, really think about that. Every time you hail a cab with Uber, a little kitty like this one here just dies. And I don't want my kitty to die. So Uber's they're just kind of being slimy here. All right, kitty wants to go, so I'm going to let kitty go. All right, see you, buddy. Thank you for the use of you. It's just like everything they seem to do, they're pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope. It's kind of like South Park. When it first came out, some people that were regulators looking at South Park said South Park didn't push the envelope. It knocked it off the table. And that seems to be what Uber's doing. I understand them trying to do something to skirt people violating their terms of service, but putting all of the known law enforcement people onto that, that's corporate misbehavior. We need to slow that kind of stuff down. A company should operate under the terms of the law. Now, we can address, and we probably will in a separate location, what do we do about various laws? We can talk about that. But if there are laws established, let's have the companies follow through that. All right. So, with all that being said, that's kind of what I want to talk about first. Basically, how this Grayball system works. It was basically what happened is they would on the app, you'd see all the drivers, but they were really just ghost cars. Somebody would hail a cab and no one would come. Well, that raises other additional questions itself. What if it was an emergency thing? It'd be better if the thing just popped up and said, we're not available, or you're not allowed to get a ride, whatever. I don't know. But regardless, that's kind of Uber. Of course, they came out and they promised to no longer use this to avoid the law. Yeah, I'm gonna believe Uber. Yeah, let's believe Uber on that one. All right. So welcome Greek and Bad Wolf Linux Gaming. How's it going, guys? So you're using Zorin OS 12.1 Core. Yeah, Zorin was pretty cool. I actually did a view of that. If I remember correctly, I believe Zorin isn't the one that has a ton of. No, wait, hold on. Which one's Zorin again? I know I did a review of it. I'm not remembering. It was one of the ones I think that either had some really cool theming options inside of it. Let us know what you like most about it there, Greek, in the comments. That'd be cool. I am using Linux Mint 18.1, and I have it themed with the like mint glass, I think, is the theme. So that's kind of what I'm using here. All right, so with Uber out of the way, of course, we have to, for under the topic of corporate misbehavior, we have to look at what Facebook. So Facebook agrees to cut back on its snooping. Yeah, right. That was a good one. So this is related to the class action lawsuit, and I guess it did say it's a class action lawsuit, but I'm not sure if it wasn't a very big class, I understand it. This was first filed 2 or 3 years ago. This was 2013. And basically what's happening is as you were using Facebook, particularly the private messaging portion of Facebook, you would use that. And Facebook was scanning those, particularly if you had a link in that private message. So if you had a private message with a link in it, then it would automatically go in and say that counts as a like for the page. And I'm not sure if that actually liked the page on your account or if it was just an internal number or something pushed out to advertisers. I don't know. I did not bother looking into what that was. But they say down here that they use the information to generate likes for the websites. And it, of course, targets advertising aimed at users. So this was just kind of a way to do that kind of, more of that kind of stuff there. Of course, after this class action lawsuit, they lost the case, and then they said that they're going to stop doing this type of stuff. They said they stopped doing this during the 3-year litigation. If you believe them, I don't know. I'm a little leery of Facebook. And then, of course, they said, well, they're going to update their terms and conditions, et cetera, et cetera. About that, of course, what does that mean? Well, they're just going to put a whole bunch of stuff in there that, and nobody's going to read anyway. So, and we should really start doing that. Hey, Lay Shark, how are you? I am good over here. Still using personal version of Manjaro Mate, 17 not going anywhere. YouTube and Discord is as social as I get. No fake book, Twitter, or anything like that. Yeah, I'm with you, Bad Wolf Gaming. I have a Facebook page attached to my author account. It's not even the one that I wanted, but you write a book and whatever name it's published, Facebook automatically generates you a page for that, whether you want it or not. And I really wanted my Facebook page for my writing type stuff to have a different name, of more reflecting my general brand, not authorship titles. I didn't have a choice. They kept literally deleting my old one until finally they redirected everything on the old one onto the one that I didn't want. And that's kind of the one I'm forced with. So as I'm releasing another book soon, I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to evaluate. I'm going to try my hardest to see what Facebook does. I know my brother does really good work on Facebook with his game. But I'm personally not a fan. I'm going to evaluate it and see if I want to keep it in the long run. I don't know. But as far as Twitter, I think I have a Twitter account on my business. I don't think I've used it for ever. I'm just not a social media guy. I hate social media. It just drives me mad. All right. So there's Facebook in the news. It lost this thing. In fact, was it this? I think so that's somewhere each of these both class representatives. So this, if more people got class results like this, there'd be a lot more of these things. And maybe this is what scares companies into forcing you into binding arbitration. But each class member received a $5,000 settlement on this, and so. That's kind of what happened there on Facebook. This one was from this morning. This one, I shouldn't have my head spinning. If you're using Windows, let me know if you've seen these ads pop up. I did pull my little, hold on, let me find my Windows computer. Maybe. This is about as fancy as my Windows computer gets. So this guy's kind of turned on like every month or so. And I booted it on today, and it's like, Windows drives me mad. I booted it on today. Obviously, there's a couple of updates that needed to run. It took 3.5 hours to push updates through that thing, and half of the time the computer was off. And I was trying to see if I could get these individual ads popping up here in Windows. So let me know if you've seen this. I have not seen these ads. And by the way, this thing, I've actually turned on every recommended setting they have. It was just an experiment to see how addy they can get. Hey, Bobintu, how are you? I'm doing well. Let's see. Greetings, Lance Brooks. All right. So anyway, advertising in Windows has reached a new exasperating low. All right. So basically in the file manager, now they're pushing ads for their OneDrive. Woo! So, and the funniest thing about this is this article at Ars Technica is actually written by like a pro Windows fanboy guy, open and unabashed Windows fanboy, and even he can find it. Microsoft just cut this crap out. Oh boy. So it's like, I just installed Windows 10 on my other computer on a virtual box over the weekend to do the one trip video where I had Windows 10 running, and I'll tell you, it was, once I get it on there, I'm getting all these pop-up notifications. Hi, I'm Cortana. No, you are Eye of Sardon. No. So, but anyway, Microsoft is pushing these ads more and more. You'll see random ads pop up as live tiles on your thing. This is an ad for OneDrive in your file manager. Oh boy. Of course, the article's just, let's see, nobody in Redmond thought, gosh, that's a little tasteful. I mean, let's just turn our operating system into a billboard. You can turn off all notifications, and in theory, that turns that off. A lot of people, some people said, oh, well, that's if you had a free copy. A lot of people said no, full enterprise copies, full brand new computers, native to Windows 10, all have these. I have not seen this yet, but again, I've had my computer on for a grand total of 5 minutes. I push all the updates through, open the file manager. I have not seen this, but I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye out for it. Let me know if you're using Windows, if you are getting this. I promise we will not shame you for using Windows. Now, actually, I have a Windows computer behind me, and this one here natively, one of the hard drives in here runs Windows 8. The other hard drive runs the Linux Mint KDE I have there right now. And so this is like, Microsoft, what are you doing? The comments on this were really fun to read. 299 comments, all sorts of fun things. Let's see, there's promoted. Oh, this is funny. This guy even already has Office 95. So who are they advertising to? I don't know. Oh boy, oh boy. Switch from Windows 10 to Linux Mint, and now Zorin 12.1. I've been on Linux since Windows 95 was new. I'd go back to Windows when a new version was released. So yeah, I have legitimate copies of Windows since 1.01. I've never seen Windows 1.01. I think my first version of Windows I had was like 3.0. You knew it was a bad OS version when they had the 0.1. Like Windows 3.0 must have been bad because you had Windows 3.1. Windows 8.0 was really bad because we got Windows 1. Let's not forget about, like, how can we add a 0.1 to Vista? Windows Vista 0.1. No, just scrap it. Scrap it. Kill it. And so, I don't know what Microsoft is doing. And to be honest, like, although I'm not a huge fan of the Windows 10 UI, I would probably still be on it if it wasn't for their spying shenanigans. And so, frankly, for me, honestly, I'm kind of happy Windows did that because it opened up my world to Linux, and I'd probably be doing a lot of completely different things now if that was not the case. So, can you show us your desk setup? Can you clarify what do you mean by the desk setup? Like the desktop? Just send me a response to that there, Greek, and I'll jump on that in between the new ads. So next up, we wanted to look at, this is a scary new bill. New bill will let companies force workers to get genetic tests and share results. So one of my more recent videos, I talked a lot about, I think it was my tinfoil hat time on biometrics. You know, the scary thing about this type of stuff is we can't change our DNA. We can't change our fingerprints. We can't change our iris. We can't change our facial dots. But what we can do is we can change our passwords. We can change our pins. So, you know, that's why I know, like, on my iPhone SE, there is a piece of tape over that so the thing cannot inadvertently scan my fingerprints. It did the same thing on the Galaxy. Because I don't want a fingerprint reader. I don't want my fingerprint touching a fingerprint reader, whether it's taking something or not. But this here would let companies force you, if you work for a company, they can force you to get a genetic test and then share those results with a third-party company for any type of information that they have. That is frightening. Because, of course, there's data hacks, there's companies, I mean, a lot of these companies too are either outsourcing. This is like, I saw an article the other day, the entire University of California is outsourcing their IT to India. Why? It's crazy. All right. So anyway, this article goes on to talk about not only can they force you to the job can force you to get a genetic test, but then they can force you to allow them to share that genetic test with a third-party company. And if you do not want to do those things, you can simply be fined thousands and thousands of dollars. Oh boy. This is frightening. So this is HR 1313. So if you're here in the States and you find this as frightening as I do, you should think about contacting your representatives and say, hey, what in the world are you guys smoking over there? Is pot legal in your state? So anyway, this is a terribly frightening thing for me. And, you know, yet another reason I kind of choose to stay freelance. That can't be legal, can it? Well, if it becomes a law, I guess it will be legal until somebody challenges it. Okay, Hillary Land. I cannot wait to get out of this state. Okay, how did you get that menu? Like, is this the menu you're talking about? This here on Linux Mint, if you go into the settings here, actually, I don't think you need to go into the settings. You can just right-click the menu here, hit configure, and then over here you can change your icon. What I did is I grabbed my my YouTube channel logo and I just threw it into, I created a separate folder for icons and things. I actually did the same on my this computer also boots into one that I do for some Christian studies. It's themed up in a Christian themed way. And so you can change your settings over there. Of course, to change your theme around in Cinnamon, you can go into themes, and under desktop, I use Glass Mint, and what you can do is hit the add remove desktop themes, and I just went onto the available online themes here, and you can download a variety of different themes. If you are good with CSS, you can actually create your own themes. I've done a little bit of theme modding here and there, but that's how I got the desktop setup that I have. All right. So let me know if that is enough there. Let's see. I was lucky to get a neighbor of mine was a beta tester for Microsoft. I ended up being an official beta tester for them. Still am, technically. That wouldn't be bad, actually. I wouldn't mind actually being a beta tester. Actually, I have an extra SSD that can go into this Windows computer here. I could actually throw a beta version on there without much hassle. Let's see. Yes, scary, like Orwell 1984. Yeah, in fact, this is funny. 1984 kind of jumped up pretty high on the on seller ratings lists. It's right up there with is it Huxley's Brave New World? I've read 1984. I've not read Brave New World, but I'd like to. The two books are very well. And actually, if you'd like to read a book that's sort of a commentary, a social commentary on both of those books together. Of course, it's old, but the book Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman is awesome. Totally read that. I don't want to talk politics, but I would have preferred either Bernie or Ben as president. I'm not sure who I'd prefer. I would have rather Bernie than Clinton. I'm not sure if Clinton or Trump were. I'm not sure if either one was a good choice, honestly. I don't know. I guess that's about as far into politics that I'm going to get. Hey, I like the live stream. Thanks, man. Thanks. Tell your friends. That's what I did on my text messages. Hopefully I have some friends watching. I'm having a great time. I don't know. I love doing this kind of stuff, man. So anyway, this is scary. So this kind of bridged corporate misbehavior on the one hand, forcing, companies forcing you to do this. That's a little bit misbehavior, bridging us on over into privacy. So this was funny. I had to read this article a few times to figure out what was going on. So, inmates' personal information mistakenly released to a convicted identity theft. This is why we can't have nice things, people. So, basically, there's a guy who had been convicted of identity theft and making bomb threats. He spent his stint in prison, and then he gets out, but as a side hobby, I guess, he fills out information of like FOIL requests, Freedom of Information Act requests. And they're supposed to scrub out certain sensitive data, but basically you can get information on prisoners in various locations. And this guy accidentally released social security numbers for more than 2,000 inmates at this correctional institution to a known identity thief. Oh boy. Let's talk religion now. All right, my religion is Linux. My religion is Christianity. Hey, if we're getting there. Anyone else want to talk religion? Why not? Let's just break all taboos. I guess the SJWism is the next bad thing we can talk about. That's the third one, right? Don't talk religion, politics, and definitely don't talk gender studies. I don't know. Let's hit them all. Okay. So, basically, this guy, he served time in both federal and state prisons, has routinely filed requests over the years seeking prisoner-inmate rosters. I'm not sure. What's he doing? Looking for a colleague? I don't know. Once he got this thing, he managed to bypass the controls of the automated telephone system and obtain 23 phone lines, which he rented to other inmates. Like, what is going on here? I don't know. This article is all over the place. I have no idea what's going on, but it sounds like a soap opera or a movie needs to be made about this thing. So, gender bender blender. Oh boy. Wow. This is just funny. I mean, he was the first inmate in Ohio to have his male privileges revoked. He received 13-year prison sentence for theft, retaliation, aiding and escape, and harassment by an inmate and telephone harassment. 1998, he was sentenced to 9 to 11 months. In the Richland County case, it was heard by a Crawford County judge in 2000. Another 3 years and 3 month sentence was added for credit card scams, and this is the guy that we handed 2,000 social security numbers over to. PC specs. I think it's system information, system info. Here's PC specs for those asking for that. Linux Mint Cinnamon 18.1, Cinnamon version 3.2. Computer is an Intel Core i5 3570K. 3.4 gigahertz. I have 32 gigs of 32 gigs of DDR3. There is a 120 gigabyte SanDisk SSD in here, and I have a 4 gigabyte onboard video card, which I'm running to. The RAM drops a little bit. I have 1 gigabyte of RAM allocated to the onboard. Occasionally, like if I have to run a GNOME desktop, GNOME does not like my video card, and so I swap over to the onboard on the onboard graphics card. So you'll see the 2 graphics card. I believe this one down here is the actual card, and this here is the onboard, I'm believing. So that's my PC specs here. And I kind of built this computer specifically for doing this. In fact, I don't use this for anything more than live streaming or content creation. It runs dual monitor screen setup. I actually have another camera ordered for another studio I'm building, so I can show you a little bit more about it. But I have a microphone that's kind of right out of camera view over here. That's a Samsung Meteorite, and I'm actually recording on a Logitech C920 webcam. So that's my current setup. There's that. Am I planning to review Rosa? I don't know, maybe. I thought I did quite a bit on it already, but maybe maybe I do need to do a little bit more Rosa reviewing. So I don't know. I'll certainly keep that in mind as I look around at different distros and deciding which ones I want to look into. All right. So another one on privacy. So there is, of course, in this ISP debate I've talked about way too much. Quick Reader's Digest version. Back in October under Wheeler, they pushed out some information there that basically said an internet line is called a common carrier service, kind of like your power or your water or things like that, meaning that there's a lot tighter regulations over what's going on. Well, the ISPs didn't like that because they wanted to harvest all of the user data. And the thing is that an ISP can control a whole lot more of our data than can a service company like Facebook or Google. Like this computer here, Facebook is completely blocked. It is blocked at the host level. Facebook can't access it. So you cannot use the argument that Facebook is going to, Facebook is collecting all this data, so why can't Comcast or Time Warner or whoever else? Well, the reason is those companies can see everything you do. The only potential way around, hopefully, is potentially utilizing a VPN. So, of course, those laws are supposed to go in effect, but then all of the ISPs are lobbying against it. Now there's even senators and congressmen that are trying to pass rules to force it to stay this way, irregardless of what the SEC does. And this is yet another problem that we need to be addressing. Is that if an ISP is freely able to capture all of our information and sell that to advertisers, that does not hurt. It does not hurt innovation, making that information invisible. What it does is it hurts the consumer to the nth degree. And so now here is some legislation coming down, and of course they all jump down with the same thing. And was this the one? I think there's another one on here somewhere. I think it's actually under my net neutrality one here. Net neutrality hurts healthcare and helps porn. Yes. We need to get rid of net neutrality so we can decide which services need to be metered away. And the first thing that's going to happen when all this goes away, if net neutrality were to go away, in fact, there was a period of time when it was still up for debate and companies were allowed to do what they want. Porn still went through just as fast, and it was the conservative groups who got metered. That ain't good. Maybe I should have had this net neutrality over here. So these are kind of tied in. What is going on in Washington right now? Like, we really, really, really need to have the senators, the congressmen, the chairpersons, all these people, they need to be wearing NASCAR suits so we can see who's paying their bills. And then we can kind of decide at that point in time, which representatives do we want to support based upon that, although it doesn't really matter, which is why we're not really as much in a republic or in a democracy as much as we are right now. We are in a de facto corporatocracy. The corporatocracy is where the corporate interest directs the governments and the laws and things. We are in a de facto corporatocracy because of that. And I can barely say that word. I'm surprised I got it out, so I'm going to stop trying anymore. And not to say like, we need crazy revolution. We don't, but we need to stop and retake control of some of these things. As consumers, we need to be more conscious about the things that we are doing. Way more conscious about the things that we are doing. All right, and this brings us to some good news finally. We're going to take a little break. I'm going to sip a little bit of coffee, and we'll catch up on comments, and we're going to talk about some of the things that Consumer Reports is doing right now. All right. Oh, and have you tried the latest OB Revenge? I'm having issues with it. Installer fails. You cannot install apps during a live session. OB Revenge. I'm not familiar with what OB Revenge is. Please clarify and I'll comment. Rosa reminds me of the Rosa Image Writer tool. What do you recommend? Rosa Image Writer tool. Clarify that one. I'm like, clarify. I sound like the Alexa this week. Alexa, are you sending my data to the CIA? I do not understand your question. Maybe I need to find myself an Alexa or at least a talking bass to throw on the wall. What do you think? VPNs do not keep us safe the way we think anyways. That is very true. In fact, I had an entire video on this premise. The purpose of a VPN is not to hide what you do. The purpose of a VPN is to allow you to access a network. So when I leave this office, I turn on a VPN. Just kind of switch on the button there. And then all of my computers and devices can access the files on my own home network as long as that VPN is running. And that's what the purpose of a VPN is. It's not to hide what you're doing as much as it is to access it. So yes, but Tor is no better really. I mean, Tor is probably the best option to hide what you're doing from your ISP at this point, but it's really not a good option. Not really all that good. All right. Let's see what I can do. Oh, I guess I was meant to load that into Firefox, but I'm loading it over into Chrome instead. All right. Of course, this thing has DuckDuckGo on it, which I absolutely hate, so I can't find anything there. Let me try that. I think I see what you did there with the link. Let me make a little adjustment there, get rid of that space. Rosa Image Writer. That's a quite little deceptive looking ad or something there. Where's that going? Oh, no, that's just an image. Okay. First version was based on Windows version, Studio Image Writer. Let's see. Oh, as far as, let's see. Oh, it's for, okay, so writing an image. Okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about. I actually, this is the reason I use Linux Mint, is because it actually has a USB image writer built right into it. And so if I want to put any disk onto an image, you can do that. And also, and I'm sure other distros do this as well, but on Linux Mint, if I can grab a group of files, right-click, and compress it into an ISO image. So, in fact, I did this on the Windows 98 install on my VirtualBox. I needed to get some drivers over there to get the video working. So I downloaded the drivers and opened them up in a file, right-click the file, archive it as a .iso image, and then you can put that into the optical drive under the virtual drive. So that's actually what I use for image writing is Linux Mint. Cinnamon has the image writers built right in. So that's exactly what I use pretty much exclusively. OBS Revenge is an Arch distro. Oh no, I have not seen anything about it. I'm gonna add that to my to my list of distros to have a look at. How can I got Avast on Linux, antivirus on Linux? There are some antivirus softwares to run on Linux. I don't generally use them. I would use them on a server load just to prevent Windows viruses from spreading and breeding if I was doing a web server. But if you just go into your software manager and you can look for a antivirus program there, and I don't even recall which ones there are because I don't really use them much. Let's see if I can find one real quick. This is the one most people are recommending is the ClamAV. If you're wanting to run an antivirus on your Linux computer, ClamAV is the one most people would recommend. That's the one I've seen the most about. All right. Ah, cool. Thank you, Patrick. You answered my question, too. I have a little sticky note here with Linux distros to look at. I have a board that I need to redo, and I just haven't done it yet, so I'm putting stuff on little sticky notes all over. I'll get to it. All right. So let's get back to the news here. So Consumer Reports is starting to evaluate products and services for privacy and data security. So this actually applies to the IoT revolution. And they start out with a kind of frightening story here. So one day, Jared DeMan, I guess, gets a frightening phone call at work from his wife, who is home with a 2-year-old daughter. A song was playing through the couple's baby monitor. So imagine this. You have a baby. You got a baby monitor there. And of course, you want the IoT baby monitor so you can listen for your baby on your smartphone at work. And all of a sudden, you can know that song from the Police, every breath you take, whatever. And of course, I just got a DC Makes copyright strike for that, for singing in a really, really bad voice, that silly song. All right, so the device was taken over by a malicious hacker. So over their baby monitor, they hear, every game you play, every night you stay, I'll be watching you. Oh, yeah. And this is the problem with IoT devices. We need to keep these IoT devices away from things, okay? So basically, Consumer Reports is working with a group of other people to develop some standards and some rating systems, just so that we can look at, we can apply something to the IoT revolution just to see what is going on in many of these instances. And I did not read through every little detail of this. I read the summary reports. But of course, products should be built secure. Not like that toy, I forget the name of the toy that was big in the news last week. Literally it's collecting voice samples and saving voice samples of your child talking to it, but it was on a database that was not encrypted and not even password protected. If you knew the link, you could get right on and grab people's children's voice replies and their messages between grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad and their kids. And it was a scary kind of thing. So they're talking about the types of things that you might want to do in order to help the thing move along here. And so products should preserve consumer privacy. Of course, this is kind of going by the wayside. Privacy? We just give you free stuff. We just want all your data. And of course, I heard it again last night. I have nothing to hide. And I gave somebody kind of a verbal smackdown last night for telling me that. Yes, you do have something to hide. It's not that we're like all being super secretive. If I wanted to be that super secretive, I would not have a computer. I live in a cave somewhere, and I certainly would not be logged into YouTube doing a live stream on YouTube. Okay, there are certain give and takes. I'm simply asking us to be cognizant of the give and take that we do. What are we giving to the companies? That is what my concern happens to be. So the product should protect the idea of ownership. If you own a pencil, you can share it and give it away. This is a big thing. In fact, I watched almost all of Louis Rossman's live stream yesterday when he was in Nebraska with giving a statement on the right to repair bill. So the right to repair bill basically says if you happen to have a device. So I have an iPhone here. And if this iPhone were to break, basically, the companies are trying to prevent anybody from fixing this phone. Now, they're like, it could void your warranty. I don't care. I don't buy new stuff anyway. This phone I bought used on Amazon for a fraction of the price. It works absolutely 100% perfectly fine. But here's the thing. If something were to break on this is an easy device to fix. In fact, most of what goes wrong with an iPhone is very easy to fix if we simply have the specs. Now, of course, Apple, in trying to get around things, they developed a new type of bolt. At the very, very bottom of that, if it focuses, maybe? Okay, so you can kind of see those. It probably won't focus that much. On either side of the charging port, they have developed their own little microscopic screw called a Penelope 2. And the good news is you can now go to the local store and purchase. I purchased a kit for $10 that has the Penelope 2 screwdriver in it. So I could literally take this phone apart. Now, am I worried about warranty? No, there isn't one. I bought it used on Amazon. But I should have the right and the available materials to fix my phone if it breaks, so I don't have to pay $300 or $400 for a new one. I'd rather pay $50 for a new chip or 10 cents for a new chip and solder it on, or at least pay somebody who has the competency to do that. And that's what it was about. Of course, why was he in Nebraska doing it? Well, like everything else in government, the right to repair bill is attached to a farm bill. Of course, because this is big in tractors. Because if you buy a new John Deere tractor, it turns out, in 2017, you have to sign away your right to repair your own tractor. Which means if you take out the fuel pump because the fuel pump is broken and you swap it in with another fuel pump that works just fine, and I have never met a guy who runs a tractor who doesn't know how to repair one, the thing will stop working because it's not the right fuel pump, because they've embedded little chips in there to kill the thing, to force you to have them fix it. That is ridiculous, it is redonkulous, and you should have the right to repair it. And that's why he was in Nebraska talking about it. And that was an awesome live stream. I've never seen a live stream with that many viewers. He had almost 2,000 people watching that live stream at the one time. All right. And so, protecting the idea of ownership, companies should act ethically. Yeah, we've already been through that section today. Yeah, companies should indeed act ethically, but they generally don't. And that's the sad thing. I would like to believe companies when they tell me something, but they've just given me more and more and more and more reasons why not to trust them. And that's the problem. I am not against big companies, but I'm against it when they damage people's ability to get things done. And that's kind of my challenge there. Okay, if you need a GUI, there's one built for you. Blasphemy about DDG. All right, so there's some information on the GUI on the Clam AV down there in the live chat. All right, it said, that's Clam AV is probably not something I'd run on a dedicated Linux box anyway, but on a web server I definitely would. And of course, the web servers I'm running are on AWS, and there's no GUI over there. I do everything on that through a terminal. All right, so now let's move on from privacy into hacks. Hack smack. What was that? This is exciting. So I'm as you may know, I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan. There you go, Dave Ramsey fan. Of course, that's his old logo. I picked this cup up when I was down at his office, and this cup has all my loose change in it. So lots of loose change, and when it fills up, I take it to the bank and usually end up depositing $20-$30 into the savings account. So, working with a budget, I'm realizing more and more and more and more the major advantages of using cash for just about everything. And last month, I got even debit card transactions down to, I think, only 5. Which is incredibly good. So this here is a payment gateway affecting the Verifone. So Verifone is the company that makes pretty much any restaurant, any place that you're out and about where a credit card's being processed that's not like a PayPal chip or or like a Square chip. Almost all of these uses Verifone. Massive breach. It's let out. They sent an information out saying all employee passwords are to be changed in the next 24 hours. desktop and laptop privileges. We will be applying limitations to end-user capabilities on desktops and laptops. Yeah, how many people do you think are actually going to change those passwords? One, two, three, four, five doesn't work anymore. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, they will probably have better security protocols that you can't use that type of password. But regardless, Verifone staff and contractors, I mean, this is a pretty big hack. And this is yet another reason why not to use a card unless you absolutely have to. We need to stop living on plastic. Do you know, like I worked at 2 fast food restaurants before fast food took credit cards or debit cards or anything like that. It was cash only at that time. I think you could occasionally use a check at those places. I think I took 1 or 2 checks ever. Everything else was cash when I was working in fast food. It was McDonald's who did a study looking at what would happen if we used plastic. And so they picked a few stores and they installed credit card terminals, paid the extra credit card fees, and they found that people spend a whole lot more. In fact, Dave Ramsey reference from FPU, he talks about this, and he talks about the difference in the attitude. If we go in there, if we go into McDonald's and we're like, hey, I got my plastic here. What we're going to do with my plastic is we're going to go in and I'm going to supersize it, give me the extra, the apple pie, and I'm going to pay for his too. But if you walk in there and you're holding some cash in your hand, dollar menu, you're on your own. That's of course taken exactly from Dave Ramsey and his FPU course. But that's very true. You spend more money on average if you are living off of plastic than if you budget things out and you do it with cash, particularly if you do not have the option to do that. All right. And this breach here for Verifone, you think of the Target breach, the Home Depot breach, all of these major breaches, all these major credit card breaches, that in and of itself is reason enough for me to walk in and pay cash. Just go cash. And honestly, you feel a whole lot better. You feel more in control of all aspects of your life, and you just have a better time when you're doing things just on cash. And so this is one of the latest and the greatest in hacks. Okay, now one of the hacks. This wasn't actually a hack, but a major concern. Are you ready? Yahoo has a new text bot to annoy your family for you. Yahoo, the company that's been hacked. And hacked 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 and hacked. They may as well change their logo to a hatchet. Okay? Like Yahoo. Change their logo to a hatchet. All right? Because of how many times they're hacked. All right? And so with all of that being said here, what we're going to do is basically they created a system called Captain. And Captain, basically what Captain does is it allows you to send shared communications between families, like your shopping lists or your reminders, your parties, and basically you can set it all up, set times up, and then at the given point in time, it's going to text the relevant information to whoever, or you can grab whatever. And so now what do we do? Oh, let's just all start using their own platform to start giving them more of our personal information, all of our connections, our shopping lists, and everything else. Let's give it to Yahoo because we know they are secure. Doesn't require a separate app. You can text hi to 773-786 to receive setup instructions. I'd rather go give my social security number to an identity theft. Remind Tim to pick up the kids at 5. Please tell me you do not need to rely on Yahoo to text you or remind you to pick up your kids. Wow. Of course, let's go ahead and end with the WikiLeaks. I did not bother reading through all these. All sorts of other people have read through all these, and there's all sorts of stuff out there. about this. Of course, if you have been living under a rock, there was another major WikiLeaks CIA reveal. There are all sorts of information here about the various things that they were doing, and they're exciting names like, oh yeah, pterodactyl and cotton candy. All right, yeah, let's have some cotton candy. There's Hive and bald eagle, and basically this is just their various protocols to pretty much get into about anything they can. Oh, look, Fight Club. There's actually, I saw I think there's an article on Ars Technica talking about the CIA meme center or something, and it just had a whole lot of funny ways that they were doing things. And what you can kind of see now is that even the media revolution has even impacted them, with all of their names of their programs seeming to have relationships to things in media, like Ricky Bobby, and that's a relation to something. Of course, there's the whole Fight Club, Rainmaker. So, I mean, it's just all sorts of things. Now, of course, Apple and Samsung and a few other things are out there, all come out saying, yeah, we've already patched a lot of what they're talking about. So rather than read through all this, I just had a quick look at the consumerist, the 4 things we should know about these documents. You know, Weeping Angel turns your TV into a bug. We didn't need the CIA to tell us that. Vizio was doing that all on its own. Of course, Vizio, in response to that, I talked about that one of my recent live streams. You know, they come out and they're like, you know, they're collecting all sorts of data, kind of illegally. They had the audacity to ask a judge to dismiss the case. No, fortunately they were denied. Like, no, like, I know I robbed the bank, sir, but I think you should just drop the charges because I felt like robbing a bank. No. Not getting out of it. Remotely hacking wireless devices. Shocking. Making use of malware, of course. There's no bigger purveyor of malware on the web than state agencies of various forms. And of course, it's great to know that they are thinking ahead with a wish list of various things that they kind of wanted to do but haven't yet. Of course, Linux and Unix is on their list. That's exciting. And so, you know, that's kind of where I wanted to leave it. Just lots of neat, fun things in the news. Of course, my general take-home message, as always, it's not to go live under a rock. It's to learn how to live in this modern society without blindly giving everything away, but with still having some of the modern conveniences. I mean, looking at Windows 95 and 98, I think of the things that we had back in those days and the things we had now. Man, the computers are awesome now. And I certainly don't want to go back to those old times, but at the same time, we have to be cognizant of what we're doing. And that's why I do these, just to be cognizant. You know, I mean, there's more than just Windows and Mac. Be cognizant that there's Linux. And that's what this channel is about. It's not to say, stop using Windows and stop using Mac. Those are bad. It's to say there's other options out there. Think about that. You know, and it's not that hey, it's cool that we have a watch now that can tell me my heart rate and my breathing patterns and all this. Is that worth giving all that information? If your health insurance company came directly to you and said, wear this watch and we'll give you a coupon for a free Starbucks coffee every month, you know, then would you do that? No. Why are they offering me a Starbucks coffee? Because they want the data. We have to be careful that if the data gets out, it gets out. It's better to not have to give it out to begin with. And that's kind of the take home here. So we're going to have a quick look through the comments here. We'll end out on the comments. Let's see. Microsoft OS's, you only pay for the rights to use it, but you don't own it. All right. That's interesting. Yeah. Let me transition over here. We'll just kind of put the comments there in the middle. Yeah. So that's, you know, with Microsoft, you pay for the right to use it. You don't own it. That's kind of what they're saying. I think this is probably potentially related to the right to repair bill and concept. But that's the challenge, is I want to be able to use it how I like. I want to be able to customize it. I want to be able to say, stop tracking me, etc. But I don't seem to have that right anymore. Not to mention Microsoft has the right to use your PC. In fact, anytime they can shut your system down and turn it into a paperweight. And no, mine doesn't have a good chance to be turned into a paperweight. I'll just boot the bad boy into Linux. Get out of there, Windows. But yes, they very much can break your system if they want to. Even employees don't use secure passwords. Yep. Passwords contain lots of symbols. Yep. If your passwords look like swear words edited, you got good passwords. All right, Yahoo is insecure. How would anybody trust them anymore? You know, I have no idea. And I think Verizon's probably just buying them for their big pile of user data, and B, Yahoo does have a lot of patents. And so I'm wondering if that's probably what's behind it. That's why they're like, oh, yeah, just give another $1 million off, and yeah, we'll still take you. Yeah, just keep, whatever. I use Yahoo Mail. I'm sorry. No, I actually still have a Hotmail account. I had a Hotmail account since before Microsoft owned Hotmail. And that's just, people want an email, that's the one you get. It gets obviously more spam than anything legit. So, that's why I still have it. You can have deep web, nothing on it I want or need. Okay, I missed a comment there. Apparently anybody can use Vault 7 if you get the code from the deep web. Yeah, you can have the deep web, nothing on it I want or need. Well, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I've actually had to dig in there to find copies of Windows or something where I have legitimate license rights to, but no backup drives. Found those on torrents or deep web places. They probably have malware in them or something, but at least it allowed me to boot a system on so I could do something real quick. All right, what OS is running on the PC behind me? This is Linux Mint 18 KDE edition, and I have an entire video as to how I set that up. So I did a whole video recorded directly on that computer so you can see all of the setups and all of the ways that I did that. And if I remember or get the chance, I will throw a link in there, but it is one of my more recent videos, so you can go check out that video. Let's see. Yes, Linux Mint KDE, I think. EYA camera behind me. I have a full office, a full house camera system set up that I can use to monitor things when I am away from the office. They are not accessible from the outside. I have blocked the outside access to them. You have to be on the VPN to see what the camera sees. Howdy y'all, UK Beast. We are just in the process of wrapping up. Thanks for joining us. But, yeah, you can come back and watch it online. It was a fun one. Okay, I work for a state government, and we had federal employees come in and tell us how you have zero privacy on the internet. Yes, that is true. If you would like privacy, don't get on the internet. No thank you on the deep web. All right. So I think we are caught up on the comments. We are coming up on 1 hour. We have gone through all of our articles, and we've had some fabulous discussions. So with that being said, I thank everybody for joining me today. And I will let you know as soon as I know when I'll do more live streams. I'm going to be out of town again this weekend. Maybe I'll try and do another video from the road. I'm not sure if I'll get a chance or not. But we will see what happens. So, with that being said, thanks for everybody for coming by, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.